What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday and welcome back to the GolfMagic channel. I'm Alex, the video and equipment editor here, and I'm coming back at you today with an iron review video. Now on this channel I think we do quite a lot of iron review videos, but they're mainly towards the player's iron, blade iron. But today I'm going to give a different perspective and I'm going to review a game improvement iron, which is the Callaway Big Bertha B21 iron, which came out a few months ago. This iron range, along with the fairway woods, hybrids and driver, is renowned to be an anti-slice feature within the club. So for the game improvement players who do have an out-to-in swing path like myself, it should eliminate that slice and have quite a nice ball flight. So this will be quite an interesting test to have here at Grays Golf in Lewis and just see how I get on. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to put it through the looks, technology and performance and see if it's right for your game coming into Christmas and if it could be the perfect Christmas present for you mid to high handicap players. Let's get right into the video. So the Callaway Big Bertha B21 iron, let's talk about the looks of it to begin with. The looks of game improvement irons for someone who's played for quite a long time isn't something that I would ever say is that positive, but for a mid to high handicap player it's still really important that the club looks nice and isn't too unappealing at address. So just looking at the club in terms of its design, I think it's actually really nice to look at. I don't particularly like their game improvement irons, but the design of this is still pretty solid. And looking from the back of the club, the Big Bertha, which is in a large font, very notable, which is very nice because it has that classical nostalgic feel of the Big Bertha range from a few decades ago. But then it's obviously modernised with the blue Callaway logo under it, and it has the gloss feature as well that you can tell it's been made in 2020 and a very positive club. The sole of the club is quite thick, but to be honest, it's not as thick as I expected. It's obviously a game improvement iron, but it's not too out there and in your face into how large it is. Looking down at the club, you can tell it's a game improvement iron, but I am surprised as to the actual looks of it at address. I would think it would be a little bit more unappealing, especially for someone who hits players' irons, and it does have quite a thick of a top line, but nothing that's too off-putting for someone who wants to hit any sort of iron. So even when I'm looking down at the club, I don't think this is that. I don't think it's that ugly, to be pretty blunt. I will compare it against the Strixon ZX7 iron now, and as you can see, there is a very notable difference, but they're both pretty nice to look at. The hosel of the Callaway B21 is more notable as well, but again, they're both pretty decent clubs to look at address. Interesting one. I didn't think that it would go that way. I thought this club would be pretty ugly and I wouldn't really want to hit it or review it at all. And that's me being completely honest and completely neutral. But this club isn't as bad as I thought, and the turf interaction I feel like is going to be pretty nice as well because of just how large it is, but how compact the head is too. So before we get into the performance of this club, let's jump back to the studio so I can talk very quickly about the technology that Callaway have put into this iron and how this will lead to an anti-slice for when you hit your iron shots. So the Callaway Big Bertha B21 irons are jam-packed with technology to help you hit the ball straighter, eliminate that slice, and overall have a lot of forgiveness. The first thing that Callaway have introduced with this Big Bertha B21 iron is the AI flash face, the first of its kind in the Big Bertha irons, but has been prevalent in other models throughout Callaway's drivers and irons as well. Callaway have also introduced a 360 flash face cup, and with the AI they've also introduced to the Big Bertha iron, this means massive ball speed, massive distance, and overall a bomber's iron for those mid to high handicap players. With the Big Bertha range, they also have a very wide sole, which means the turf interaction, as mentioned in my looks part of this video, is supposed to be superb and introduce low launch angle, low spin, exceptional distance, and maximum ball speed. Callaway have also added a custom tungsten weighting into each iron, which deepens the CG, meaning you still get maximum ball speed, but you can also get higher launch conditions throughout all of the iron set. So really positive specifications coming out of Callaway so far, leaning towards the mid to high handicap player. And finally, the Callaway Big Bertha B21 iron has patented urethane microspheres, meaning that you can dampen the impact that you get off the club but still maintaining maximum ball speed and feel, and of course, maximum forgiveness. So a lot to take in here for technology, but it all sounds really good for those mid to high handicap players. I mean, there's a lot of forgiveness, maximum ball speed and maximum distance. It should be really interesting to see how far I hit this club and how easy it is to hit. Let's go back to the launch monitor at Grays Golf and see how I get on. So the Callaway Big Bertha B21 game improvement iron. I've seen a lot of reviews of game improvement irons in the past, and one thing that a lot of comments have said is that they want it to be put from a mid to high handicapper's perspective. So I'm not going to mention anything that's applicable to a low handicap golfer because it's not necessary for the person who's going towards these irons. The main thing that these irons do shout about is the anti-slice feature, which should appeal to a lot of mid to high handicap amateur golfers. Is that a myth? Is that some weird technology that they're just saying? Perhaps, because it does have a draw bias in the club, so that's something to kind of go with the anti-slice technology. But for me, on testing it, absolutely, there is some sort of anti-slice feature in here. This club is impossible to slice. Impossible. As mentioned at the start of this video, have an out-to-in swing path. My miss isn't ever really a slice, but I do have that in my locker, trust me. My miss is usually a little bit left. This club does not go right at all. I could not hit it right when I tried, and it's really positive for someone who has that out-to-in swing path, but then leaves the club face a little bit open. Going on to the performance of this club, I was absolutely blown away to begin with by the distance I was getting off this club as well. I have the Callaway Bertha B21 6 iron in a KBS regular flex, so not the right shaft for me at all, but still I can get some decent performance out of this. This club was going about, I'll put the date drop on the screen now, it's going about 225 to 230 yards for a 6 iron, which I was thinking I'm putting these straight in my bag, but I'll put the loft of the 6 iron up on the screen now, and yeah, it's pretty amped up. 25 degrees for a 6 iron, pretty incredible. I was hitting the Strickland ZX7 and the Mizuno JPX 921 Tour, which is on the low 30s, sorry. So that is a massive, that's two club difference in that. So that's the reason why I'm hitting this 230 and I'm hitting the other 6 iron, 7 irons about 180, a 50-yard difference. The dispersion I was getting though was okay, but for me I was having a lot of lefts in there because my miss was left rather than right. If you're an amateur golfer with a bit slower of a swing speed and do tend to hit it right, this will be spot on, and the dispersion you get is really positive. The forgiveness that comes with this club, although you can't see an overwhelming amount of forgiveness when you look down at it, yes, the top line is still like a Kit Kat junkie, but that's what you expect with a game improvement iron. You got a lot of forgiveness for this. When I hit a few shots that were a little bit out of the heel, they still went around 205 to 210 yards. These are a little bit of distance, but still completely straight. So for a mid to high handicap player, that's exactly what you want. Let's quickly go on to the price of these irons. So these come in an RRP of £899 for a 40 pitching wedge set, although you can get it a little bit cheaper because there's some discounts now around Christmas. I think that's pretty fair, to be honest, for a game improvement iron set. I was thinking between around the £700 to £800 mark is pretty good, and these would be a very good set for someone who's, I would say, between 15 and obviously the highest handicap you can get, 36, because although 15 you may think is a bit low, if you do struggle with ball striking and struggle going left, there's no harm, there's no shame in chucking these in your bag, because they're still lovely looking irons and you get some exceptional performance with them. I would recommend as well, you would get custom fitted for these just to make sure that you get the optimal spin rate and launch angle, because for me, this club is standard. I would prefer this to be a little bit longer, maybe half an inch to an inch and 2 degrees upright to get a little bit better performance, but that's my recommendation from the GolfMagic team to you. Whatever irons that you get custom fitted so you can get the best performance out of some top quality clubs. My overall view of this club is if you are a high handicap player who is looking for some forgiveness but still a nice looking iron that you can use from any time when you get around that mid handicap range, this probably is the club for you. There are definitely some other clubs out there that could rival this, but from testing and for someone who hits it out to win and hits a slice, this is the exact iron that you want to be trying going into 2021. I was hitting a pretty nice draw, although it was going left, I was still hitting a pretty nice draw with these clubs, and again, it was going a long way. If you are into that mid swing speed range as well, this would really help you get a little bit extra distance with that nice weighting in the back and the amped up lofts that you can get. So again, another positive for a game improvement iron, and the price is pretty fair as well. So from us at the GolfMagic team, we think this is a top quality Christmas present you can get for those mid to high handicap players at a pretty fair price. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. This is a bit different as we do usually review players irons, but I feel like we should review a lot more game improvement irons going into 2021. So for the new golfers going into the game, you get a complete understanding of the difference between a blade, a muscle back, and a club like this, so you can understand why clubs are different and what club is right for your game. If you are a mid to high handicap player, this is a club to try, so I'd recommend going down to your local pro shop and giving it a hit. If you guys are new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all our equipment reviews, challenge news, tour news, and much more. We've got a lot of exciting content going into 2021, and I want all of you guys to be a part of it. I'll see you guys at the next video.